Hello, welcome to the energy update for October 2024. I'm Lee, I'm an intuitive, and every month I take the pulse on what might be showing up for you mentally, emotionally, energetically. Just 3 of this month's themes are season of strengthening, how we are all going through a strengthening period right now. Honesty creates transformation and how to use that in your life, and flow instead of fire in the month of October. Stay tuned for the full update. Hello, welcome to the full energy update for October. And if you are a new subscriber to my YouTube channel, which I know we have a lot of new subscribers lately, welcome. I hope you enjoy what you find here. And please don't forget to check out my website, leeharrisenergy.com. We have a free video, audio gift for you there as well. So please do check it out, and thank you for being here. And for those of you who've been with me for a few years, we are bringing back Initiation, which is my annual channeled mystery school. It begins at the end of this month, so stay tuned for the end of this update if you want more info on that, and hopefully you can join us. But let's dive into what is shaping up to be a very full and powerful month energetically, the month of October that we're moving into. Just a kind of broad overview before I go into the individual themes. As I was channeling to receive these themes, we are now going into a really big period to the end of the year. It will last through January, but it's going to feel stronger and more powerful than anything we have experienced thus far this year. Obviously, strength and power can feel great to you if you're in a place to hold it and run with it. It can also feel intimidating if you're in a more delicate, sensitive, or vulnerable space. So a big focus this next few months, just in general, is going to be you and all of us figuring out what it is that we need to keep ourselves balanced. And that's an ever, a changing thing for all of us as the world changes too. And I feel like really the energy updates that I do really speak to that in the broader sense. But that's going to be really important in the coming months, particularly if the idea of strength and power intimidates rather than excites you. So let's look at the first theme, which is season of strengthening. October represents a season of strengthening. So this can relate to finding internal strength and resolve, or events outside you moving you into a new position of strength, either in the outer world or your inner self, or ideally both. There is a twist to the idea that this season of strengthening might come from the outside world. It might be that something happens for you this month that doesn't feel comfortable, doesn't look initially good, or seems like not what you wanted to happen. But quite quickly, following that in the weeks and months, you'll see that actually it's putting you into a position of strength, even though it might not seem like it at the moment that it happens. Consciousness is becoming a lot stronger on the planet and beginning to, shall we say, fill in a bit more on a grounded level. It's very easy to access higher consciousness if you're used to going there for visions, going there for intuitive information, tapping into other worlds, other realms. It's a whole other thing to bring it down into the body. And that's what this season of strengthening is all about. You finding a new level of inner strength in yourself. This can look like motivation to do things that previously you didn't have the motivation for. It can also feel like a doorway suddenly opening, where for a long time you weren't quite sure which door to walk through. And suddenly this big doorway appears in your life in the form of an event or a thing or a person or a relationship. So season of strengthening is going to see a lot of us literally feel like we are embodying new strength in our life, in our relationships, in the work that we're doing here. But if it doesn't come to you and through you in that way, it might come to you through outer events. And again, there are lots of things in our lives. If you stop and reflect on your life, think back to things that happened in your life that either at the time you didn't want them to happen that way, or you didn't think it was the right thing. But then if you let time pass, you can often see that what was a seeming curveball or problem actually put you onto the correct path and put you onto a path that's more aligned and more what you wanted to be doing here on earth and why you came here to be. So there's going to be a lot of that flying around too. So people having things taken away from them or rerouted in ways that they weren't expecting, but that it will play out that these are good changes and good shifts. So as much as you can, try and take everything with a pinch of salt if big things happen around you, and try and give them reflective time, which leads me to theme number 2. Quiet, reflective power holds gold. Quiet, reflective power holds gold. So reflective power is simply, giving yourself 10, 15 minutes to reflect on your life, on what's happening, on what's happened. I think for many of us, especially in how speedy this world has become with all of its information, we can have a tendency to keep going. And it's actually when we stop and reflect and pause and look at what's directly just happened in our life, or sometimes you go back months and years and you start having these reflections. These are very healing moments for us. In fact, if we don't stop and take these reflective moments and times, it can take longer for us to actually heal or become the next version of ourselves, because there's never quite time for the body to catch up with everything that you've moved it through. So the message around this theme, quiet, reflective power holds gold, is because many power-ups will happen when you get quiet, still, and reflective. The energy realms are loud right now. So if you can give yourself moments of stillness, moments of quiet, you'll be surprised. We did a retreat in Santa Fe, Soul Magic, in July. We had a wonderful time with a couple of hundred people who came from all over the world. And one of my favorite things we did there was we would just sit for 5 to 10 minutes. I think we were doing about 8 minutes a day. We just sat in silence as a group. And it's still something I've been doing since we left, and it's been great. So quiet, reflective power holds gold. Can you let yourself be quiet enough, often enough, to really take in everything that's happening in you, on the planet, and who we're becoming? Because we're all changing very rapidly, and sometimes it's disorienting and you can't quite keep up with it. So quiet, reflective power will help with that. Theme number 3, honesty creates transformation. Honesty creates transformation. So honesty with ourselves and honesty with others. And there's a flip side to this. I think there's the courage to be honest, and the courage that we all need to be honest about things that we perhaps hadn't previously thought we could be honest about, or had never been invited to be honest about, or were taught to suppress being honest about. But equally, receiving honesty, receiving the honesty of others, and being on the receiving end of honest feedback from people. It can be both sides. The courage to be honest towards others and the courage to be able to receive other people's honesty about their experience of you or something that's going on. The message is that we're going through a generational shift around that. And so that's going to be on the table. Whenever there's a theme like this that shows up with this kind of intensity, I always feel like it's more than just a personal message for those of us living our lives, that often there is a global focus around this when I feel a theme this strongly. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of honesty shows up in the month of October. And I know there's a lot going on right now about things being revealed, and that's been going on for a few years, but this feels different. This feels more fundamentally personal, the way that we interact as humans. So don't be surprised if honesty creates transformation in your life this month. You either feel ready to say something or express something that will create a shift in your life, your work, your relationships, all of the above. And equally, honesty with yourself. Perhaps it starts by you waking up to some truths that you had not yet got to, but that you're ready now, or you're at the right stage of your journey, or the right stage of the journey for you and everyone around you, for you to reveal some new truths from inside you. And it can be very thrilling to do this. I think traditionally we tend to be hardwired to think of honesty that creates destruction or disruption. Destruction and disruption are sometimes part of a transformation. So there's often a tendency to fear honesty from self to others or from others to self. But it can be the most magnificent transformative agent, if you like. So be interesting to see where that shows up for you this month. And if you're on the receiving end of some honesty, can you grow in a new way to just hear it and receive it without needing to fight it, question it, worry about it, get triggered by it? There's a lot of that in the air this month. So theme number 4, physical healing focus. Physical healing focus. So many are experiencing health issues. Part of this is life. Part of this is, and this came up in a channel from the Z's several months ago, a lot of the toxins and pollutants that we are living with, that we as a generation and the future generation, it's part of our job to shift that. But it's also, for many who are in health challenges right now, it's a suggestion of major changes in your way of living being needed in future. I have a few different friends going through this in different ways at the moment. And I know that sometimes when you're going through a physical health challenge, it's debilitating enough to your sense of well-being, your sense of life force, perhaps even being able to keep your mind positive or open or balanced. And many can judge themselves for why they found themselves in this place. But the message is that we as generations are having to change the way we live, the way we feed ourselves, the way we exercise. So a lot of people are taking this path to lead the rest of us out as well. So if you're currently having issues that relate to the way you live, the way you eat, and things that you need to change, it might seem like quite a shock to you right now. But as we know from many who've done that, it will actually be a positive thing when you've stabilized it. And many of you are doing it not just for yourselves, but because you're ushering in a new way of being on earth that requires us to live differently in order to have health. So it's quite a big one, this physical healing focus. So it will be interesting to see how it shows up for you personally, but also how it shows up globally and around us. Theme number 5, flow instead of fire. Flow instead of fire. So the message for this one was, October is a water month, a month of flow, water. Fire energy will struggle to drive things this month. So try flowing if forging ahead proves difficult. So if you've got your foot in the accelerator and you're really trying to move things and they aren't working in the month of October, try not to drive. Try and just take your foot off the gas and go, okay, this isn't working. Let me just flow and let me see what happens. Because wherever the power is dominant at any time on earth, that's where the power is. So if the power is found in flowing, then that is going to be your most successful state to enter. If you're used to being powerful through your fire, then this is a great month for you to learn power from a different angle. It doesn't mean that something's going wrong. It just means that you're learning to flow in a different way and have an experience and be in tune with the energies that are available. So, flow instead of fire in the month of October. For some of you fiery types, that might be a welcome rest, or it might be a rest that you resist. And for those of you who do flow, your month might be a bit busier and more productive and more outwardly successful than you're often used to, because this is a month that really is your signature energy. Theme number 6, experiencing visions and future timelines energetically. Experiencing visions and future timelines energetically. So there's a lot of this going around. We are jumping possible manifestations by trying them on for size before we create them. That's different to how it used to be, and it can be very potent as a psychic experience. So what this means, if I break this down, let's say, 6 years ago, you would have had a dream about a goal you had. And that goal, let's say you wanted to learn piano. Let's just take that as an example. And you would have this goal and you go, I'm going to take 2 years to do this. Well, now you may still want to do that goal, but you may be having very powerful visionary experiences of you being a piano player and seeing what that feels like. And this does one of two things. It either brings the vision into your reality faster, because you travel into the future of the thing that you want to create and you bring it back to your body in the now. You close the gap between future and present. You start to feel it, you become it quicker, and then you have a very fluent birth into being a piano player. Or because you've tried it on for size, you no longer need to manifest it. So you don't choose to do the piano playing. It just was something you were playing with for a couple of months, and it was important for you to play with it, but it wasn't important for you to become it. It's interesting, isn't it? Because I think when we come into spirituality and an understanding that there is such a multidimensional universe at work, and we are each very unique individual experiences in that universe, but there is so much that we couldn't possibly in one lifetime become in a grounded way. It helps you understand why at a time where consciousness is getting faster and we are beginning to become faster at healing, faster at shifting old generational patterns, that we would be walking into energetic experiences that we don't need to become, but that maybe decades ago we would have needed to become them. So if you're experiencing visions and future timelines energetically, you might be trying something on for size before you create it. That's great. It will help you create and become it quicker. Or you might just be trying it on for size to decide that you don't need to create it in reality. So this is different to how it used to be, but it's very potent as a psychic experience. So enjoy it if this is new for you. And for those of us that it isn't new for, the speed is quickening. So don't be surprised if in those quiet, reflective moments, things get a little busy and a bit activated. Final two themes. Number 7, power shifts globally. So changes in status and dynamics between countries. I don't personally have a lot to say about that. I think we're all seeing all of that playing out, and this was just a headline theme. So like many of you, I will be watching to see what plays out. And of course, we're all experiencing it. The message that they did give about it was just as every single human is transforming, so is that whole system from within. And even though there is a dialogue that happens, I think, between people about what's going on with power systems around the world, there's a lot that we don't know that's going on inside there that's stirring it all up from the inside too. So it's going to be an interesting few months that we're going through for sure, but we're going to start to literally visibly see the changes in status and dynamics between countries, and in ways that we haven't even yet anticipated. I'm not even talking about things that are on the headlines in the media right now. It's bigger than that. So it will be interesting to see how it plays out. Finally, the final theme is patience and presence if you're one who is waiting it out. Patience and presence if you're one who is waiting it out. So what does waiting it out mean? Well, there's a whole group of you who are like, I'm checking out of society until this whole thing has gone down. I'm just going to live a very quiet life for a few years and wait for it all to change in a bigger way. That's one group who are like waiting it out. And then there's the other group, which is, you're tired, or you've gone through a lot, or you're not looking to generate or create many personal shifts for yourself. If anything, you just want some quiet and some calm and some steadiness. And that's intuitive because that's how we ground everything we've gone through. So if you are someone who is waiting it out, be patient and catch the part of you that might be slightly inauthentically waiting it out because you want things to speed up quicker. So there's a part of you that's saying, oh, I'm just waiting it out. And another part of you is going, oh, I want it to hurry up. So try and be as patient as you can to really drop into what it means to wait it out fully. And presence. Be very active in your presence while you go through all of this, because you will be very visionary. There will be a lot going on. There'll be a lot moving through you. So just because you're waiting it out, it doesn't mean you're on pause internally. In fact, it's usually the opposite when you step back from a lot of engagement with the outside world. So those are the themes for October. I mentioned earlier initiation. So initiation is my channeled mystery school, and it starts at the end of October. We will play a trailer for that in just a moment. But I'm also delighted to say that we have one more live event before the end of the year, and it's in Los Angeles. It's a weekend event live with Lee, the Z's, and Davor, my musical partner, who's coming with me. And we're going to work with the energy of those of you who show up in the room that weekend. Myself, channeling the Z's, Davor will bring music into the room, and we'll take a weekend transformation journey based on those of you that show up. So hope to see you there for Live with Lee, the Z's, and Davor in Los Angeles, and that's December 7th and 8th. And then in January, we are on tour. We're coming to the UK and Europe. So Dublin, Berlin, Amsterdam, Stockholm, and London. January 3rd to January 12th for the Big Love Tour. We would love to see you there and get to be with you in person in that month of January. And last but not least, thank you everyone for Songs from the Sun feedback. This is the album that we just released, and you've all been really enjoying it, which is wonderful. It's why we make music. So thank you for all the love and support around that. And I will see you next month for the energy update, but here is a taste of what initiation holds. We are about to begin Initiation 2024, my online channeled mystery school. So in 2021, my guides, the Z's, said to me, we'd like to do something called Initiation. All you need to do is hold the space for it, and every week we will be bringing through a different transmission, a different message, a different focus for the group who attend. So every Wednesday, I'll be channeling my guides, the Z's, live for those of you who can be there live, and on the replay for those of you who can't, bringing through a very specific message and transmission for this group. And then a few days later, I bring you something called a calibration video, which helps you process, integrate, and understand the message that we just had a few days before. We do this for 4 weeks, and we do it in community. So thousands of people from around the world will also be taking the course and the experience. It's very informative, but it's also very healing. And it gives you a different way of seeing things. As we let go of things that we no longer need to be, we have the opportunity to decide to be somebody new in the world in subtle and sometimes very powerful ways. I will also be providing, just before we begin, an energy blueprint. I'm going to wait until you've all signed up so that I'm really speaking to the group who are there. So this is why usually on the first day I will read you the energy blueprint of what it is that we as a group are about to travel through. And once you sign up, you'll receive a brand new message from the Z's specifically for initiation called The Power of Your Being, which really kicks off the themes for this year's Mystery School. It feels more potent than ever to do this kind of work while we're going through such massive changes on the planet. So if you yourself are feeling the call to have a transformational and cosmically connected experience, please come and join me, my team, and many like minds and hearts from around the world for Initiation 2024. You can click the link below for more details.